Ahead of PDP delegates' ward congresses nationwide, President Jonathan arrives in Yenagoa, Bayelsa State. Nigeria protests Ebola-based discrimination by countries around the globe. The interim government put in place as Burkinabe president resigns. Good evening. Thanks for joining us on NTA Network News. I'm Cyril Stober. Ahead of the PDP World Congresses this Saturday nationwide, President Goodluck Jonathan is already in Yenagoa, Bayelsa State, in company of the First Lady, Dame Patience Jonathan. State House correspondent Segun Lawale reports.
The Port Harcourt Airport again played host to unprecedented enthusiasts, party members, and women groups who thronged the airport to welcome President Jonathan, who landed at the airport for onward journey to Yenagoa. President Jonathan, in company of the First Lady Dame Patience, was received by the people of Rivers State amidst pomp and pageantry. The President and the First Lady later left for Bayelsa State Government House, Yenagoa, where they were received by the Governor, Syria Kedeksin, and his wife. Women from various local governments in the state also turned out in large numbers to give the President and the First Lady another rousing welcome. The women, filled with great excitement, could not hide their feelings, seeing their own, who has continued to identify with them. President Jonathan is expected to participate in the party's World Congress this Saturday. In Yenagoa, Segun Lawale, NTA News.
The federal government has pledged its commitment towards the formulation and implementation of policies that are capable of improving productivity in the nation's industrial sector. President Goodluck Jonathan stated this at the annual Independence Lecture of the Lagos Island Club. Abalore Ogbara reports.
Goodluck Jonathan, who was represented by Vice President Namadi Sambo, disclosed that the transformation agenda is focused on changing the fortunes of Nigeria from an import-dependent economy to an industrialized nation. To this end, he said government is mobilizing national resources to develop strategic economic infrastructure by empowering indigenous small and medium-scale enterprises. The Vice President assured Nigerians of a robust fiscal and monetary policy regime, with the private sector playing critical roles in actualizing the national industrial policy framework.
The private sector is also playing a critical role in actualizing national development by utilizing opportunities provided for rapid and sustainable growth and continuous diversification of the economy. It is actively working to expand export base and international competitiveness by improving on the quality of products and services, utilizing the skills and professionalism of local human resource to achieve set objectives.
Chairman of Island Club, Ademola Dada, lauded the President's transformation agenda, emphasizing the giant strides so far recorded in the various sectors.
From what they have been able to deliver to members of Island Club today, we have no doubt in our mind that Mr. President will perform credibly.
The Aba of Lagos, Rilwan Akiolu, enjoined Nigerians to work with the government towards achieving free and fair elections at the polls.
Any form of thuggery, which I believe they have been preaching against, will not be allowed to take place here. It's all the political parties.
The Independence Lecture coincides with the 71st anniversary of the Island Club.
People in Gombe State began their weekend on a sad note, as 8 persons have been confirmed dead following an explosion that occurred at the Gombe Line terminus, one of the busiest motor parks in the state capital. Emmanuel Akila reports.
Everything was normal at the Gombe Line terminus early Friday morning when the explosive device went off, leaving 8 people dead and quite a number of vehicles destroyed.
As passengers were busy going into vehicles and then traveling, most of the vehicles have gone out. Then this thing, we just had the noise and it happened.
When the explosion occurred, I could not go out with my vehicle. I had to use the fence to escape with my dear life. Several others who sustained varied degrees of injuries have been rushed to the Gombe Specialist Hospital and the Federal Teaching Hospital Gombe.
I don't have exact figures for now, but there are a lot of casualties that were admitted. Some have been treated, and there are 8 corpses in the mortuary, 4 male and 4 female.
Commissioner of Police Kudu Abdullahi Imma, who confirmed the incident, said the police have swung into action to uncover those behind it.
We have put measures, and not even put measures. We have a system. We have proactive measures already in Gombe, you know it. And that will continue. Visibility patrols of vehicles and other sundry arrangements regarding security provisions.
Chief of Staff, Government House Ahmadi Ayari, who was among early callers at the hospital to sympathize with the victims, asked people in the state to remain calm and law-abiding, while government do whatever it can to avoid recurrence of the ugly incidents.
It's so sudden. It's sad. It's sad. It's sad that this thing is happening. The only thing we pray to God Almighty to help us see to the end of this thing.
Meanwhile, except for the affected area, where shops remain closed, other parts of the city are calm with people going about their normal activities. In Gombe, Emmanuel Akila, NTA News.
And a non-governmental organization, Civil Society Coalition for Poverty Eradication, in collaboration with others, has donated relief materials to internally displaced persons from Michika, Madagali and Goza local government areas. The donation is targeted at 1,000 families. Godia Daniel completes the report.
Considering that the activities of the insurgents is becoming prominent in the northeastern part of the country, CISCOP, Oxfam and the European Commission created a synergy to ameliorate the sufferings of those affected by the insurgents through donating these relief materials. Program Coordinator Peter Michael Eguda said the organizations have set up different indices criteria for the distribution of the relief materials through Adamawa State Emergency Agency, other non-governmental organizations and volunteers to identify the most vulnerable, who are mostly women and children.
Food items, and also supporting them with activities, items like wash for their hygiene issues, and also we're also training them to know how to engage in hygiene best practices.
District Head of Moda Mohammed Ahiru Baba and Village Head of Michika 1 Abubakar Yaya appreciated the gesture, saying it will go a long way to ease the sufferings of the internally displaced persons living in Yola. Some of the beneficiaries thanked the organizers for the gesture and prayed for a long-lasting solution to the insurgents' activities that have rendered them homeless. Items distributed are 50 kg bags of rice, bags of maize, beans, 10 liters of palm oil, 5 and 10 liters of empty jerry cans, water guard and soaps. In Yola, Godia Daniel, NTA News.
And security agencies in the country have been encouraged to ensure the success of the 2015 general elections by providing a natural environment for all Nigerians. This was the message of the Director General, National Orientation Agency, NOA, Mike Omeri, during an interface with security agencies in Katsina State. The NOA Director General, represented by the Director of Mass Mobilization, noted that cases of ballot box snatching, intimidation of the electorate, use of force during elections, as well as bribery and thuggery must be avoided for smooth and transparent elections. Nigeria has protested to some countries around the globe on the continuous discrimination and stigmatization of its citizens due to the Ebola outbreak. Despite the country's declared Ebola-free status by the WHO, the protest was made known by Nigeria's Foreign Affairs Minister in an interactive meeting with the diplomatic community in Nigeria. Correspondent Musa reports.
Registering Nigeria's regrets Foreign Affairs Minister Ambassador Bashir Wali says it is disappointing that in spite of the decisive measures taken by government and the declaration of Nigeria Ebola-free status by the WHO, some countries deliberately choose to discriminate against Nigerians. He states that the continued discrimination and profiling of Nigeria is not acceptable to the government and people of Nigeria.
Throughout our up to today, from the 1 to today, Nigeria's borders have never been closed. Our belief as a government, as a people, that Nigeria is not free of Ebola unless and until there are no more Ebola in this sub-region, in Africa, and of course, in the whole world.
Ambassador Wali says no country is an island in this age of globalization and advised on the encouragement and promotion of friendly relations on the basis of mutual respect.
And they responded, which means they got the message. And of course, I also told them Nigeria is prepared to support and help all those countries that are afflicted.
With the facts on ground, the diplomats promised to work with their home governments to see the end of the stigmatization. Individually and collectively, they commend Nigeria's efforts in fighting the virus to a hold in the country. They call on Nigeria to be on the forefront in fighting the disease in the region and elsewhere. Musa, NTA News.
Participants at the Public Affairs Forum on the Jonathan administration in Abuja, tagged 4 impactful years, have agreed that President Goodluck Jonathan has impacted positively on the transport sector. Runke Kolawole reports that this was part of the response to the scorecard of the Transport Ministry presented by the Minister, Senator Idris Umar.
Analyzing the efforts made on the 116-year-old Nigerian railway system, the Transport Minister Idris Umar said rail lines that have been moribund before the advent of President Jonathan's administration have either undergone or are still undergoing rehabilitation and modernization, while 4 bills are being processed for onward transmission to the National Assembly to allow more robust private sector participation in the nation's ports.
The fundamental goal of the transport subsector under the transformation agenda is to develop an adequate, safe, environmentally sound, efficient, and affordable integrated transport system.
Although participants wanted to know what government has expended on projects executed and ongoing, whether Ekiti State will be included in the proposed rail line that will connect 10 states and the plan to strategically position Abuja in the railing system, among other salient questions, they described the forum as an eye-opener.
Anybody who finds fault with the developmental strides of Jonathan's administration is not being sincere.
It gives us the opportunity to know more about what the government has been doing that we have not been able to see.
I'm from Ekiti State. What gladdens me most, he has told me that the rail transportation system is going to cover every part of the country.
I have to say this, I have to commend the president, because it's not easy for him to have made those changes.
Senior Special Assistant to the President on Public Affairs, Dr. Dunyo Kupe, pledged to create more awareness to enable the populace know that the federal government has delivered on its promises. Members of civil society groups, professionals, students and trade unions, market men and women and major players from the Transport Ministry attended the event. Runke Kolawole, NTA News.
55 years ago, Nigeria took the lead in television broadcasting in Africa by establishing the first television station in Ibadan, the Oyo State capital. It was the Western Nigeria Television, WNTV, which is now the Nigerian Television Authority, NTA Ibadan. Correspondent Oyeyinka Folaromi reports that the 55th anniversary celebration at the home of television was memorable.
Gentlemen, a few events in my life have given me so much pleasure as to come before you tonight to open formally the first television network in Africa.
On the 31st of October 1959, Western Nigerian Television, WNTV, was commissioned by the Premier of Western Region, Chief Obafemi Awolowo, as first television station in Black Africa. WNTV metamorphosed into NTA Ibadan following the federal government takeover. Those who were part of history and veterans in broadcasting.
NTA Ibadan Zonal Network was Africa's first television station and still remains the first in Africa. And you are part of the landmarks in Ibadan.
The whole world knows what NTA is. For information, for education, for entertainment. Broadcasting must not allow inflammation of situation.
We still have to pull our strength to measure up to the expected international standards.
Definitely things are advancing.
It was also a moment to reflect on the past and chart the way forward to remain relevant in the dynamic television industry globally.
Color TV was not necessarily an event, it was a process. We bungled into it, we learned about it, we mastered it.
So you cannot stop the progress of technology, especially digital technology. So we sit here and it's changing.
What road have we traveled up to this point and where are we headed? Because all kinds of things are coming at us as professional broadcasters.
The coming of digitization in 2015, television broadcasting can only get better. In Ibadan, Oyeyinka Folaranmi, NTA News.
Can't imagine what the next 55 years would be like in broadcasting. Just a thought. Up ahead, musical sensation Tubaba partners INEC on violence-free elections, plus other stories in politics when we return. Stay with us.
Form the jangling discords of our nation into a beautiful symphony of brotherhood.
Change is never easy. It was not easy for Dr. Martin Luther King when Prime Minister Lee Kuan Yew transformed Singapore from third world to first world. It was not easy. They stoned him. It was not easy for Nelson Mandela.
I, Barack Hussein Obama.
It was not easy for Barack Obama. Nothing worthwhile ever is. Dr. Martin Luther King did it. Prime Minister Lee Kuan Yew did it. Nelson Mandela did it. Barack Obama did it. Goodluck Jonathan is doing it. He is transforming Nigeria. Mr. President, keep doing it. We who are with you are so many more than those who are against you. A message from protectors of Nigerian posterity.
Ebola is a deadly disease,
but
there are ways
we can prevent infection
and protect ourselves. First,
wash fruits thoroughly, disinfect floors and surfaces regularly,
avoid contact with infected carcasses,
avoid bushmeat,
wash and sanitize your hands regularly.
Together,
we all
can overcome Ebola.
Do not take a risk with your life and your loved ones.
Health is priceless.
Stop Ebola. It's in your hands.
It's in your hand.
It's in your hand.
It's in your hand.
It's in your hands. It's in your hands.
It is in your hands.
It's in your hands.
It's in your hands.
This public message is brought to you by the Federal Ministry of Health and Detour.
Sheyi Makinde, stimulating attitudinal changes and initiating radical thinking. Sheyi Makinde, the man of his words, an achiever per excellence, imbibing public confidence and enlist mass participation in governance. Sheyi Makinde, a philanthropist, driving a collective vision of a people of Oyo State in a unique way. Sheyi Makinde, a man of the people and a silent achiever. Sheyi Makinde can be trusted to do more.
We will change the future of our state for the better.
Sheyi Makinde, the man for change.
Have you blown someone's mind lately? The season of surprises premieres across Nigeria on November 1st. Prepare to surprise. Prepare to be surprised.
MTN, everywhere you go.
On behalf of the government and the entire good people of Kaduna State, we wish to express our sincere gratitude to the President of the Federal Republic of Nigeria, His Excellency, Dr. Goodluck Jonathan, GCFR, for visiting our state and commissioning of the multi-billion naira new governor's office at the Sir Kashim Ibrahim House, Kaduna. We also appreciate the presence of other dignitaries that grace the occasion, including members of the National Assembly, honorable ministers, the Speaker of the Kaduna State House of Assembly, members of the State House of Assembly, members of the diplomatic community, His Royal Highness, the Emir of Zazzau, Alhaji Dr. Shehu Idris and other royal fathers present, and other important personalities too numerous to mention. We say a very big thank you to you all for coming to rejoice with us as history was made with the commissioning of the Legacy Project, which was held Tuesday, October 28, 2014. Thank you, Mr. President, for coming to Kaduna State. Announcer, Mukhtar Ramalangero, FCNA, NNIM, Daratul Zazzau, Executive Governor of Kaduna State.
The families of late Sir Cyprian and Lady Josephine Ujimadu Mweze and engineer Mrs. Wilson Obiora Emenike invite you to the wedding solemnization of their children, Oluchi Josephine and Chibweze Michael, on Saturday, 13th December 2014 at St. Matthew Anglican Church, Maitama, Abuja. Time, 11 a.m. Reception follows immediately at Ibeto Hotels, Apo, Guru District, Abuja. Traditional marriage comes up on 1st November 2014 at late Sir Cyprian Ujimadu Mweze's compound, Umukarakara, Ubakala, Umahia South Local Government, Abia State by 10 a.m. Announcer.
Experience a fresh breeze of revival, an electrifying presence of the Holy Spirit. Divine Commonwealth Conference, DIVCON 2014 is here again. It is another time for gathering of Christians from all over the world. Theme, in times like these. Time, 8 a.m. daily. Venue, National Christian Center, CBD, Abuja. Anointed servants of God from all over the world will be ministering to His Grace, the Most Reverend Nicholas D. Oko, Archbishop, Metropolitan and Primate of all Nigeria. Come and experience the supernatural. Jesus is Lord. Master of the universe.
Happy Hour, burst of refreshment. Available in peach, tropical fruit, apple peach pear, kiwi mint lime, and guava. Chi Happy Hour, burst of refreshment.
House of Chi. The Office of the Senior Special Assistant to the President, Public Affairs, announces a public affairs forum holding at the Nikon Luxury Hotel, Abuja. The theme, the Jonathan Administration, 4 Impactful Years. The forum will be an interactive session with professional groups, civil society organizations, the organized private sector, youth, women groups, trade, student union, market men, women, and invited members of the general public on the transformation agenda of President Goodluck Ebele Jonathan. Dates: Monday, November 3rd, 2014, Honorable Ministers of Health, Agriculture, and Education. Tuesday, November 4th, 2014, Honorable Ministers of Works, Trade and Investment and Finance. Attendance is strictly by invitation. This program will be transmitted live on NTA on the days mentioned. Signed, Dr. Doyin Okukbe, Senior Special Assistant to the President, Public Affairs.
Just as we told you before the break, it's been 55 years of television broadcasting in Africa. As a result of that, a special documentary on this will be shown on the network service of the NTA at 10:30 tonight. All NTA stations are advised to hook onto the network service for that program on 55 years of television in Africa. The chairman of the Independent National Electoral Commission, INEC, Professor Atahiru Jega, has commended the collaboration between Nigeria's popular musician Two-Face and Youngsters Foundation and other groups under the umbrella of the National Democratic Institute, NDI, towards violence-free elections. Professor Jega gave the commendation during a sensitization and advocacy visit by the group to the INEC headquarters. Correspondent Dennis Adegunlui reports.
Senior Programs Manager of the National Democratic Institute, Maxwell Manidu, highlighted the negative trends, especially of violence among youths in past elections, and how this has affected their interest. Chairman of the Independent National Electoral Commission, Professor Atahiru Jega, regretted the decline of youth participation in electoral matters and welcomed the efforts of the Two-Face and Youngsters Foundations, the Transition Monitoring Group and USAID to encourage youth interest and participation in violence-free 2015 polls.
The Independent National Electoral Commission believes very, very strongly that the youth are the major pillar for the success of all efforts to deepen democracy in this country. Because, as you rightly pointed out, election no be war.
Giving an overview of the Vote Not Fight campaign, Two-Face Idibia emphasized the importance of violence-free elections towards the continued development of the country. He also noted with optimism INEC's efforts at improving the electoral process with new technologies like the card reader, which is designed to make the election more credible and people-friendly.
Vote Not Fight Election No Be War is a voter education campaign, and it is really, really strategically aimed at educating well-meaning Nigerians, especially young Nigerians, to shun violence.
The Vote Not Fight campaign was endorsed with the signing of a pledge by the INEC chairman and others. In Abuja, Dennis Adegunle, NTA News.
The extension of the sale of PDP nomination forms has been described as another modest consideration by the aspirants seeking the People's Democratic Party ticket ahead of the 2015 elections. Political correspondent Femi Johnson has an update.
The National Publicity Secretary of the PDP, Chief Odisa Metu, had earlier announced that the sale of forms has been extended till 7th of November. Among those who indicated interest in the governorship elections are Hanafi Sudan from Niger State and Gregory Ibe from Abia State.
I remain one person in the state after government that is the highest employer of labor.
I believe it is time for service to the people.
Some youth groups also declared their support for Senator Solomon Ewuga, a gubernatorial aspirant in Nasarawa State at a mega rally.
Go home and help us bring peace to Nasarawa State.
Meanwhile, women from the 6 local government areas of Cross River State Central Senatorial District have in ICOM declared support for Senate leader Victor Ndoma-Egba on his 2015 aspirations. The women attributed their support to various constituency projects and effective representation at the Senate.
We will get there for National Assembly. We want Senator Victor back.
The Senate leader expressed hope that the PDP primaries will be transparent. In Abuja, Femi Johnson, NTA News.
And still more politics now. The former managing director of Diamond Bank, Chief Alex Oti, has declared his intention to run for the Abia State governorship seat in the 2015 general elections on the platform of the PDP. Linda Oswala reports that Chief Oti's supporters were at Owerri Airport to welcome him home.
That was the sight and sounds of cheerful supporters of Dr. Alex Oti as they welcomed him from the Owerri Airport. Chief Oti moved from the airport to Umuahia, where he commissioned his campaign office. He thanked his people for the great honor done him and highlighted his contributions towards the development of people of the state while in office as Group Managing Director, Diamond Bank PLC.
While he was at the Diamond Bank, he did marvelously well.
If I have done this for the bank and the industry, he can as well do better in politics and for the people.
In Aba, Chief Oti was heralded into the city in a grand style with some football stars and musicians such as Charlie Boy, Kanu Nwankwo, JJ Okocha, Nega Raw, J Martins, and Felix Ndukwe performing in his honor. Chief Oti promised to serve his people diligently and bring effective change to the state if given the opportunity to serve.
I resigned because I want to answer the call of my people. It's a sacrifice, but I think it's a sacrifice worth it.
In Aba, Linda Osuala, NTA News.
And the PDP caucus Wakirike extraction in Rivers State has expressed displeasure at what it called the continuous insults on the office of the president and his wife. The coordinator of the caucus, Evans Bipi, stated this while addressing newsmen in Port Harcourt. Dagogo Isaac has the details.
Members of the PDP caucus of Wakrike were drawn from the two Okroka-speaking local government areas and part of Port Harcourt City Council in Rivers State. The coordinator, Evans Bipi, who lamented the frequent abuse of the office of the president and his wife, warned that the people of Okroka land would no longer tolerate further insults on their daughter. They call on the people, chiefs and elders of Ubima, the native home of Governor Mechi, to call him to order and to desist from further attack on the president and his wife for the interest of peace.
We challenge Mechi to show evidence where the First Lady allegedly asked him to corruptly share the resources of River State with him. We also challenge Governor Rotimi Amechi to prove his allegation that the First Lady allegedly sent ex-militants to stage protests against him.
The caucus also expressed displeasure over the continuous insult on President Goodluck Jonathan and his wife with impunity and warned against the libelous utterances and inserting public statements against the president and his wife. In Port Harcourt, Dagogo Isaac, NTA News.
Anambra State has emerged the overall winner of the 54th Independence Anniversary of the Inter-Basic Schools Debate Championship. The event was organized by the President's Schools Debate Nigeria. Franca Uzoma Olua has the details.
The finals of the week-long debate championship focused on the importance of part-time legislation to be or not to be. Anambra State proposed that lawmaking should be on part-time basis.
If lawmaking should be part-time, I assure you, ladies and gentlemen, that will lead to excellent performance and good function exercise.
While Kaduna State opposed.
Danger of adopting part-time lawmaking.
At the end, Anambra State carried the day.
The team is Anambra.
The Inter-School Debate Championship is an annual event designed to promote healthy competition and the spirit of tolerance among school children.
Continue learning, continue practicing, continue engaging yourself in all these topics.
The debate, some say, is another avenue to promote the reading culture.
If you see the presentation of these students, you will know that our education standard is not falling at all.
I'm very happy the way the children really braced up with the international standard.
Imo State took the third position at the championship, while Zamfara State was honored for grassroots development in education. In Abuja, Franca Uzoma Olwa, NTA News.
The National Commission for Refugees, Migrants and Internally Displaced Persons is strategizing on how best to mainstream migration discourse for national development. Participants at the third-level expert meeting held in Lokoja, the Kogi State capital, agreed that migration, if better managed, can be a tool for development. Correspondent Gabriel Odu reports.
Migrants are those who move across territorial borders or for greener pastures. But of late, migration has become a source of worry to not only Europe and America, but also within the African continent, posing security challenges. That is why the National Commission for Refugees, Migrants and Internally Displaced Persons is coming out with a national migration policy.
Within the draft national migration policy, there is a provision for diaspora. There is also a section that particularly deals with the issue of brain drain. It's also about urban migration, how we can, address the issue of urban poverty.
Other participants agreed that migration, if well managed, will curb border insecurity, human trafficking, and many other concerns.
We cannot but see how we can effectively come up with a framework and a governance structure to annex the development potential of migration.
The country is better positioned to stop illegal migration, especially for trafficking in persons, to ensure and to empower and to reintegrate victims of trafficking.
Migration and development is a key area for Nigeria, now is the largest economy in Africa, and having various human resources and needing to harness those in terms of retaining professional skills and also in terms of actual skills development.
The workshop is a partnership of the Swiss government and Nigeria. In Abuja, Gabriel Odu, NTA News.
Time now to link up with Abdullahi in our Lagos Network Center for stories making the rounds in that zone. It's yours now, Abdullahi.
Thanks for joining us in Lagos and a warm good evening. Political parties have been advised to use campaigns and rallies to project party manifestos rather than heating up the polity. National Chairman, Alliance for Democracy, Senator Mojisola Akinfenwa, made this known at a gathering of party members in Lagos. Olajide Bello reports.
Members, stalwarts and chieftains of the Alliance for Democracy AD converged on the party secretariat at Abulegba to witness the commissioning of the secretariat and to reiterate their loyalty to the party. The national chairman of Alliance for Democracy, Senator Mojisola Akinfenwa, appreciated party members and supporters for being steadfast and upholding the ideals of the party's founding fathers. Senator Akinfenwa called for more participation by members, urging them to pick up their intent forms, which he says are affordable.
We want many more people.
Alliance for Democracy State Chairman Kola Ajayi advised youths not to be influenced by selfish politicians who employ them to perpetuate election violence before, during and after the polls.
They should not allow anybody, a politician, to use them for their selfish ambition.
On the part of INEC, head of election monitoring, Emmanuel Ademusere stressed the need for collection of permanent voters' cards by registered voters who might have encountered bottlenecks in procuring their cards.
The likelihood of the fact that during the registration their fingerprints were not captured or one problem or the other may have occurred. Therefore, if the names are not there, they will do a fresh registration.
In Lagos, Olajide Bello, NTA News.
And to business news now, Amechi Pius has a package.
Hello and thanks for joining us on this segment of the news. My name is Amechi Pius. The Director General of the National Pension Commission, Chinelo Anahu Amazu, has described the new Pension Reform Act 2014 as one with provisions for the well-being of contributors and stakeholders in the contributory pension scheme. She made this known at the Southwest Sensitization Conference with the theme, Sensitizing Major Stakeholders on Developments Ushered In by the Pension Reform Act 2014 in Lagos. Ime Udori compiled this report. The focus of the Sensitization Conference by PENCOM is to acquaint stakeholders with provisions of the new Pension Reform Act 2014. The scheme, according to the Director General of PENCOM, now has a wider coverage for private employees. Apart from an upward review of the minimum rate of pension contribution, the Act also reviewed upwards the sanctions and penalties against infractions of the Act.
What the 2014 Act has done is to increase its powers to deliver to the pensioner, to the contributors, and to the nation as a whole.
Stakeholders drawn from both the public and private sectors of the economy took turns to appraise the new Act, describing it as one that will guarantee efficient pension administration in Nigeria that will be in the overall interest of all.
The discussion today is how to make the pension pool of funds more impactful and more visible on the lives, economic well-being of Nigerians.
In the past, we had a very, very limited
opportunities for funds to be invested. Now we enlarge it in the present act to provide such sources as infrastructure, key infrastructures which government can borrow to invest on.
Participants examined, among others, the role and powers of PENCOM as regulator and investment of pension funds under the new regime. To ensure strict implementation of the new act, PENCOM says it is strategically positioned to facilitate and offer technical assistance to states and local governments in their efforts to adopt the new scheme. And to stock market report, here are details of movement of stocks at the close of business on the floor of the Nigerian Stock Exchange today. Details of trading showed that market capitalization was 12.4 trillion, while the all-share index closed at 37,550.24 points. It dropped by 1.13%. Investors purchased more than 303 million shares, valued at 3.5 billion naira in 4,564 deals. And that's business news. Thanks for being a part of it.
Have you blown someone's mind lately? The season of surprises premieres across Nigeria on November 1st. Prepare to surprise. Prepare to be surprised. MTN, everywhere you go.
There are those that want to divide Nigeria, to take us back to another time. But the future belongs to you. Together we have built the largest economy in Africa. And now we must lift up every Nigerian child in every region. Strengthen education, keep building a modern infrastructure, better roads, the energy, water, and prosperity to lift up every family. We can't go back. The future is hard work, but we are building it together. Good luck, Jonathan. One Nigeria, moving forward.
The sweet things of nature make you come alive. Yeah. The 7 tropical wonders are mine for the asking. Gee, exotic nectar. Gee, exotic nectar. Just exotic, oh yeah. Makes you come alive. Oh yeah. I can't get enough of the tropical freshness. Yeah. Exotic in goodness mixed with pineapple sweetness. Gee, exotic nectar. Gee, exotic makes you come alive.
Auntie!
Hello, my dear. I see you went shopping with your mom, right? And what did you buy?
Power oil. It has 0 cholesterol and 0 trans fats. And contains vitamin A and natural vitamin E. It's a healthy oil for a healthy family.
I'll buy Power Oil next time I go shopping, huh?
Power Oil, healthy for you.
I need a great deal, the best price I can get.
That's why I shop on Jumia.
We got some orders, higher on all cylinders. We'll not rest until it's packaged and delivered. Do everything it to take. Baby, you know we ain't got time to waste. Customer satisfaction is the way. We're not gonna stop until it's okay. Oh yeah, let's do this. Put our best into this. The online so you can trust. We're not gonna stop until it's okay.
The online shop you can trust.
Ebola is a deadly disease,
but
there are ways
we can prevent infection
and protect ourselves. First,
wash fruits thoroughly, disinfect floors and surfaces regularly,
avoid contact with infected carcasses,
avoid bushmeat,
wash and sanitize your hands regularly.
Together,
we all
can overcome Ebola.
Do not take a risk with your life and your loved ones.
Health is priceless.
Stop Ebola. It's in your hands.
It's in your hand.
It's in your hand.
It's in your hands.
It's in your hands. It's in your hands.
It is in your hands.
It's in your hands.
It's in your hands.
This public message is brought to you by the Federal Ministry of Health and Detour.
Johnny S5.5, the slimmest in the world.
The Nigerian government, through the Petroleum Technology Development Fund, PTDF, has devoted huge resources in revamping technical and vocational institutions to produce the much-needed technical workforce in the oil and gas industry. The Executive Secretary, PTDF, Mr. Olufemi Ajayi, disclosed this at the second annual VTech Global Conference organized by Global Education and Training for Energy Group in Houston, the USA. Edino Justice packaged the report.
Mr. Ajayi, while expressing concern over lack of technical and vocational institutions in Nigeria due to poor or inadequate infrastructure to produce trained technical hands, noted that the disconnect between the needs of oil and gas industry and the nation's output of trained technical hands made employers to resort to engaging foreigners, with implications of capital flight.
Our president pursues a transformation agenda which is centered on local content. If we want to move forward, we really must put more emphasis on developing our technical workforce.
Mr. Ajayi said the key driver for the implementation of the Nigerian Content Act is increased activities in the training of domestic hands, noting that in this regard, PTDF had executed relevant intervention programs to produce competent Nigerians in technical and vocational requirement for the industry. The special section also deliberated on the need for greater collaboration between industry and community colleges in the training of highly skilled technicians for the upstream sector. Edino Justice, NTA News.
In the meantime, the appointments of 4 general managers in the Petroleum Technology Development Fund have been terminated following a directive by the Ministry of Petroleum Resources. The affected general managers are Jacqueline N. Guyel, General Manager Strategic Planning and Documentation; Olajide Adebulayi, General Manager Projects; Ahmed Z. Balarabe, General Manager Administration and Human Resources; and Ahmed Galadima Aminu, General Manager Education and Training Department. Also affected by the disengagement order is Tinu Adeze Oluleye, an officer with the fund. The affected officers have been directed to hand over all properties of the fund to the next most senior officer and report to the Finance and Accounts Department of PTDF for their entitlements. The Federal Ministry of Agriculture has drafted a national policy on gender in agriculture with the main objective of bridging the gender gap, empowering women, and enhancing poverty eradication. Musa Baba Ali reports that the draft policy is currently undergoing scrutiny by the relevant stakeholders.
Eliminating gender disparities in the agricultural sector, ensuring equal access to inputs and services for all women and men participating in food production is what the drafted policy seeks to achieve.
Access of women to agri inputs as well as access of women to advisory services.
They are feeding the nation, but they have infinitesimal access to available agricultural assets.
The Federal Ministry of Agriculture believes that the policy will serve as a roadmap to gender equality and social justice in agricultural activities.
Agricultural gender policy, which proposes new strategies aimed at scaling up women participation in agribusiness through access to land.
It's only when you have gender mainstreaming and then gender at the helm of affairs at decision-making space that you have these MDG goals being achieved.
The gender policy for the agricultural sector is part of the effort of showcasing the achievement of Millennium Development Goals by 2015. In Abuja, Musa Baba Aliyu, NTA News.
7 days into the month of Muharram in the new Islamic calendar, the Muslim faithful have been admonished to use their time wisely by worshipping Allah. This was the focus of Friday's sermon delivered by the Chief Imam of Wuse Zone 3 Mosque, Sheikh Tajuddin Muhammad Bello. Correspondent Ismail Musa reports.
The theme of the sermon dwelled on the significance of the Islamic New Year and the need for Muslim faithful to be committed in worshipping Allah at all times to drive the abundant blessings of the period.
Today is the 7th day of Muharram, and Muslims are expected to fast the 9th and the 10th day of this month, Muharram. Even the young ones and the aged ones and the rich and the poor and everybody should fast the 9th and the 10th day with the intention of giving us victory over whosoever is plotting against this nation, as he has given victory to Musa alayhi salatu wasalam over Pharaoh.
Fasting and extension of hands of fellowship are some of the virtues expected of the Muslim faithful.
We should take the opportunity of being a youth to work hard, positively, before we are aged. We should also use the opportunity of being healthy before we are sick. We should make the best use of our life before death.
As the nation approached another crucial election period, the Imam called on Nigerians to pray for peace and successful elections in the country. In Abuja, Ismail Musa, NTA News.
And up ahead, trouble in Burkina Faso. Correspondent takes us on a trip there to know what's happening. That and sports in just a moment.
Can this provider of free education at all levels in Imo State guarantee free qualitative education at all levels in Nigeria? Can this man who stopped kidnapping and armed robbery in Imo stop continuous insurgency, bloodletting and violence in Nigeria? Can this Nigerian born an Igbo man raised up by the North and financially empowered by the West guarantee peace and unity in the country? Can this man who rescued Imo within 3 years rescue the economy of Nigeria? Can this torchbearer of the new generation create jobs for the teeming unemployed youth of Nigeria?
For this reason, Arewa People's Grand Coalition invites all to a reception in honor of the Denjekan Sokoto Owele Anayorocha Sokorocha on Monday, 3rd November 2014 by 11 a.m. at the Ranchers Bees Township Stadium, Kaduna. Nigeria must be better.
The Public Account Committee and the Committee on Justice of the House of Representatives cordially call for written memoranda, invites all stakeholders and the general public to the above subject matter. The public hearing is scheduled to hold as follows. Date 4th November 2014. Venue Hearing Room 028, New Wing, House of Representatives. Time 10 a.m. Special guest of honor, His Excellency Right Honorable Aminu Waziri Tambuwal, Speaker, House of Representatives. Invited stakeholders include the following: Signed, Honorable Adiola Solomon Olamilekon, Chairman, House Committee on Public Accounts. Honorable Ali Ahmed, Chairman, House Committee on Justice.
Have you blown someone's mind lately? The season of surprises premieres across Nigeria on November 1st. Prepare to surprise. Prepare to be surprised. MTN, everywhere you go.
I need a great deal, the best price I can get.
That's why I shop on Jumia.
We got some orders, higher on all cylinders. We'll not rest until it's packaged and delivered. Do everything it to take, baby, you know we ain't got time to waste. Customer satisfaction is the way. We're not gonna stop until it's okay. Oh yeah, let's do this. Put our best into this. The online so you can trust. We're not gonna stop until it's okay.
shop you can trust.
This world is not my home.
The family of late teacher Obu of Ezindodo, Ebunwana Ether, in Africa South local government area of Ebonyi State, announces the passing and glory of their son, father, grandfather, brother, uncle, cousin, and in-law, Pastor Oniban Nachi Oboji, General Overseer, Open Christian Assembly, who slept in the Lord on 5th September 2014. Burial arrangements. Saturday, 1st November 2014, there will be a homegoing service at Central School Field, Ebunwana Ether, by 10 a.m. Signed, the family.
The 27-year rule by President Blaise Compaoré of Burkina Faso has been terminated following days of violent protests by the people of that country, forcing him to resign this Friday. Correspondent Phoebe Kaburuk reports on how he came to power and the lessons therein.
President Blaise Compaoré, now 63, served under late President Thomas Sankara as Minister of State to the presidency. He came to power after Sankara was killed in mysterious circumstances by a group of soldiers in 1987 and has won 4 disputed elections since then. However, after a new constitution in 2000 limited presidents to 2 terms in office and limited terms to 5 years, he still won 2 further terms. Protests, however, arose when there was another attempt by the parliament to vote on a constitutional amendment that would have lifted the limit on the presidential terms to pave the way for Mr. Compaoré to run for the office again in 2015.
My feeling is that if there should be an election now, with things still very fresh, he can influence the election. Therefore, my feeling is that the period of 12 months that the general spoke about is the most appropriate.
What lessons for African leaders?
For any leader to think that he is indispensable, that is what I find very difficult to accept. And that is why sometimes Africa is a laughing stock before the rest of the world. If you are not a monarch, why do you think that when you come to office, you can only leave when you die?
Meanwhile, an army general joined chief of staff, Traoré, has taken over as leader in Burkina Faso, a development that has generated cheers and jubilation from the people of that country. Reports say President Compaoré has headed south to the city of Port near the border with Ghana, while he has not asked the French, who were once the country's colonial rulers, for any assistance. Phoebe Kabruk, NTA News.
In sports now, stakeholders set out modalities for successful outing of next month's President's Cup as the boxing world relieves memories of Rumble in the Jungle 40 years after. Ayodeji Makindi tells us more.
In its quest to discover young sporting talents across the country, the National Sports Commission on Thursday met with key officials to put in place modalities for a successful organization of the President's Cup. Sports Minister Tammy Danagogo says the tournament will serve as catalyst in resuscitating grassroots sports in Nigeria.
We also gave you the task to make sure that you get to every nook and cranny of the 774 local governments of this country to pick out our best talents.
We will all come out in mass and give a total support for this program to at least cover the gap that is in there from the Northeast into the program.
The 2014 Electoral Committee of the Nigeria Football Federation says it has received 4 petitions following the September 30 elective congress in Warri, Delta State. The petitions will be dispatched to respondents who have 3 days to respond, as there will be a public hearing on the 12th and 13th of November for all parties involved.
My interest is Nigerian football and making sure that justice is done to all the parties, whether the proponent or the respondent.
40 years.
I'm afraid that's just about all we can take. And just to go back to the issue of the television documentary chronicling 55 years of television in Africa, that documentary we told you about earlier on will be coming up at 5 minutes past 10 o'clock. That's just a few minutes after this news. So all NTA stations are to stay on the network service for that documentary on 55 years of television in Africa. And with that, we conclude tonight's Network News. We thank you for watching. Have a pleasant weekend. Good night.